Great take, Carlos. Josh, okay, we have a bit of a Zelda segment here. We got a lot of Zelda hot takes. People had many. So some of these are very similar to other emails that we got. So the one I pulled is from Josh, but many other people share the same idea. And Josh says, my hot take is that I prefer any Zelda game over the open air games. That includes Link's crossbow training. Link's Awakening is one of my favorites, and I also love Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, the Oracle games, etc. The open-air games were okay, but not as fun to me. I have never replayed either, but have beaten Link's Awakening on the Game Boy and on Switch multiple times. My gripes with the open-air games are the lack of a cohesive chronological story, and shrines are nowhere near as good as dungeons. Something about designing a puzzle with one intended solution is better than open-ended puzzles that you can solve 50 different ways. Additionally, a chronological story is way better than a story that you experience in any order by viewing memories, even if you play them in order. I liken it to a choose-your-own-adventure book, not as good as a regular chronological book. I know you all think Breath of the Wild is the best game ever. I enjoyed Mario and Luigi Brothership more than Breath of the Wild.
Whoa, that is a spicy one.
Yeah, it's a hot
Dismissed.
Wow.
I need to hear this.
Wait, okay, so we're
deleting this from my memory.
Specifically talking about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, because you said
Yes.
open air and
Those are the
then
open
you
air
said you
games.
like Wind Waker.
En plein air, yes.
I thought Wind Waker was open air, but I
No,
guess
just the two, just Breath of the
Open
Wild and
sea.
Tears of the Kingdom are the
Okay.
two on trial here. Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of people emailed in feeling the same way. I mean, it's a divide in the hardcore Zelda fan base that has existed for almost a decade now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrong people who don't enjoy fun. They like to have everything played out for them. It's like, these are the people who, when they were like 14 years old, their mom had their socks folded, laid out for them in the morning and their underpants
So
ready for them.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying.
Talking about no.
I'm just saying, like, there's the like, you get to have this open, like, amazing world where you can pretend to play and like you're a kid again with action figures and amazingness, but it's actually better than that because the world is alive and breathing. And then there's like, games where it's like, okay, you got this, now you can go do that. And, I like those. They're fine. I'm just kidding. I love all the
I was going to say they're fine. They're way better than fine.
No. I know. Like Wind Waker is obviously like one
You're
of my
talking about
favorite.
Ocarina of Time, man. I know I just spent like a whole episode complaining about that game, but it's pretty dang good.
Yeah, okay, look. I'm just trying to go here. All right. I'm just trying to say that Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda, and Tears of the Kingdom, are the best games ever made. And like, I don't fault anyone who doesn't like them. I just feel bad for them for not being able to like have fun by just letting their imagination kind of take over for a little while and go explore and have fun. So there.
I think saying you would rather play Link's crossbow training than that's
crazy.
Is maybe being a little ungenerous to both of these games.
Well, I think you're being ungenerous to Link's crossbow training. Link's crossbow training is a great game. I love Link's crossbow training.
Would you rather play that than Breath of the Wild?
Yes, sometimes. Sometimes.
Off the podcast.
Sometimes that's what you want. No, and that boils down to my whole thing, which is I just like both. I love both.
I'm canceling you. This is over. No, okay. Where I'm going with this, I'm trying to be nice here. Okay, I think we're maybe being a little. I think you were being a little ungenerous to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That said, I do not think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom should be the model for every single Zelda game from now on.
I agree.
I think they are a moment in time. They are fantastic. They are personally my favorite Zelda games. But if every single Zelda game going forward, we're just following on that model with the shrines and the open-ended storytelling and the super open freedom world, whatever, I would get bored. And there is something kind of fantastic. Like I said, I went back to Ocarina of Time earlier this year. There is something really lovely about going back to something that's still kind of open in an open world, but also linear in ways and has these like very specifically designed dungeons with like solutions that you're supposed to try to puzzle out and that do have right answers. And like, there's something really wonderful about that. And I think it's fine to recognize that is sort of the core of what this series is built on. And maybe we don't stray so far away from it forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the Legend of Zelda kind of famously, the idea for the game, for the NES, well, actually for the Famicom Disk System, came from Miyamoto as a child exploring like the wilderness around where he grew up and like going into a cave and feeling this like thrill of adventure, like being a little scared to go in a little bit further. And then, coming back later when he had the red boots so he could or the iron boots so he could actually walk through the cave. So that's
what it was. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Zelda's my favorite series, and part of the reason that it is that is because of its constant willingness to reinvent itself. It has done so many, many times, and it has done so brilliantly many, many times. And Breath of the Wild was the latest version of that reinvention. I 100% agree with Reb. I think the next Zelda, it would still be amazing and probably one of the best games I've ever played. But if the next Zelda was that same thing of you're in a small area, you get your 4 powers, then you have the whole area and you go to the 4 corners in any order you want, and then you go to the middle. That'd be disappointing if it was that again, because you just can't do that. Even if it's in a new world, I think they need something to keep that a little bit fresher. And to your take, I completely get if somebody personally prefers the linear curated stuff that Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time do, because they're very, very, very different games and styles, and that preferences are going to be one or the other. I like both, honestly, pretty equally. Like, my favorite traditional 3D Zelda is right up there with my favorite open world 3D Zelda and my favorite top-down Zelda. I like Zelda in all its forms. I even love Link's crossbow training, like I just said. So, yeah, I the part you lose me is Brothership. It's a 5 out of 10. I stand by it a year and a half later. Breath of the Wild is infinitely better than Mario and Luigi Brothership. Also, by the way, if you're listening to this and you think we're being hard on interview takes, we love all your takes and we're happy you all wrote in. And we love that you're participating in the show.
Yes. Please stop taking me so seriously. A lot of the times I'm saying stuff just to get a rise out of you.
Yeah, for sure. The next one comes from Connor. We're sticking with Zelda. We're going to the other side of the coin, who says, the traditional Zelda formula is done. You don't have open world Zelda fatigue. You have Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Hyrule fatigue. There's like 20 traditional Zeldas. Go play one of those. That format is tapped. They've explored every possible use case for it to the point at which we literally had Train Conductor Link. Meanwhile, we've only had 2 open world Zeldas. Swallow the pill. This is the new Zelda formula.
Whoa!
So exact opposite.
That's even spicier somehow.
And I guess I say the same thing I said to the last one. Like, I'm the meme. Why not both? Like, I just want both to coexist. They're both brilliant, and they scratch completely different itches. I think there's no way that format is tapped for traditional 3D Zelda. There's new technology and innovations. They haven't done one like that in 15 years. If they made a new traditional 3D Zelda, it could blow your mind. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I think that's where this one gets me. Like whatever you like, but this is a failure of imagination if you think that Nintendo has done everything they possibly can with a linear Zelda game. Like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the next logical place for Zelda to go is both. Like Logan, like you said, like why not both? Like a game that is both. You know, now you can't destroy these enemies unless you have this item from this dungeon that's traditional, but it's also like maybe you just see them and go somewhere else for a long time and come back later. Like I think that the future of Zelda is just both open world and that sort of linear, and you can go off the path, which is what I do every time anyway. Like I very rarely beat open world games because I like just wandering off into the hills.
I think that this is the new Zelda formula. Well, not new anymore. It's almost 10 years old. This is the Zelda formula for like Aonuma and Fujibayashi, the main core Zelda team at Nintendo. They're going to keep doing this, but there's other teams. Like I think that Monolith could be handed a traditional 3D Zelda and make a hell of a game. Man. And I've been meaning to bring this up on the show. I think there's a good chance that they are going to do that someday based on some interviews that came out a couple months ago about Monolith's involvement in the future of Zelda. Like, there's so many studios you could hand this to, and they could do something that Aonuma would never think of to do in a 3D Zelda game. Like, we see Nintendo partner with these studios all the time to do really cool stuff.
Y'all see what Koei Tecmo's doing lately? Those guys have been an incredible partner studio for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah, oh man, them with a traditional Zelda, that could be really cool too.
They've already done really good Zelda stuff. Like, it's just,
Yeah. So there's room for both. Those are the same take on opposite sides. This next one, we're still about Zelda. Harry says, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is the most disappointing Zelda game ever made. Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games of all time, in my top 10 for sure. After over 100 hours exploring this beautiful world, enjoying the physics-based gameplay, collecting weapons and outfits, exploring different locations, the last thing I want to do in the next Zelda game is a repeat. The new Ultra Hand abilities added nothing substantial that changed the way I played. The locations were the same, with the sky islands and depths adding very little of interest. The overall journey of the game felt like I was retreading the same game with similar beats, and was the first time in any Zelda game that I felt bored and let down. I mainlined the main story, something I never do in Zelda, sprinting through the depths and throwing my single row of hearts link at the final boss over and over just so I could see the ending, which wasn't cool enough to redeem the feeling of the wasted time that had come over me while playing Tears of the Kingdom.
Woof.
This is the worst take I've ever heard in my life.
I don't think any of us are with you. Sorry, Harry.
No.
I don't think we're with you.
No, I can't help you with that one. I'm sorry you didn't like Tears of the Kingdom. That's a real shame. It's a good game.
Hey, we're about...
I think chocolate cake is the worst kind of cake. I had vanilla cake for a long time, and I thought it was the best. And then I had this chocolate, and it just did nothing for me. That's basically what you're saying right now.
One of my best friends doesn't like chocolate cake, actually.
No,
so,
I mean,
yeah.
okay.
Look,
I think what this person is saying is that they had vanilla cake for a really long time, and then they had chocolate cake, and it was amazing, and they really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And then someone brought out a second chocolate cake, and they're
With
like,
some new
okay,
frosting.
but I've already eaten so much chocolate cake. Like, I understand where this is coming from, especially if you spent that much time in Breath of the Wild. I did not have this experience because I love... I would not want to do this a third time, to be clear. Like Logan said earlier, if they brought out a third one of these, I'd be like, all right, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But like I do think the world changed between those two games. And I thought so much of the joy of this game was going back to these familiar places and treading this familiar ground and seeing characters in this space, because it was no longer this lonely adventure, and seeing, you know, what people had built in the interim between the two games, or like how natural features had changed, or what was below or above, and getting all this extra context. Like, I think that's really cool. I understand if that was if the change was not enough for you, and I imagine it was probably not enough for. I feel like the longer you spent in Breath of the Wild, probably the less impressive Tears of the Kingdom was.
I think that's exactly it.
I get it.
I think that's wrong. I started replaying Breath of the Wild in the lead up because I was so excited for Tears of the Kingdom. I put 45 hours into Breath of the Wild up to like the day that Tears of the Kingdom came out, and it was wonderful and beautiful and refreshing. In fact, I would go so far as to say putting 45 hours into Breath of the Wild right before Tears of the Kingdom came out made me enjoy Tears of the Kingdom even more. And this is a replay. I didn't just start playing Breath of the Wild. I had already had 150 hours into it. And then I restarted the game and put another 45 in before I started Tears of the Kingdom. So I found it an appetizer, a yummy, tasty little appetizer to get me ready for the main course.
I'm stretching a little bit to find some common ground here, right?
I'm not with it at all either personally, but there is a segment of Nintendo fans that feels this way. That's why I put this one in here, because I know Harry's not alone. There's people that think Tears of the Kingdom is a boring retread that doesn't make good as a sequel to Breath of the Wild. I 100% disagree. I think, like, you went to New York City, and then you went to New York City 6 years later, but a bunch of stuff was different, you'd have a blast. Like, it would be, it's like one of the best worlds Nintendo's ever made. And I just was in awe of Tears of the Kingdom, of how much they did actually change. And it's the cultural shifts are fun. Like, in Hateno Village, now there's this like mushroom fashion craze, and there's an amazing side quest chain that unfolds when you go there. Or these ruins collapsed on Kakariko Village. And then not only that, the way you engage with this world is completely different. Like, throw Ultra Hand out. I'm not even talking about that. Like, the way Ascend and Recall completely changed the way that you're playing in this world. Like, you are dominating this landscape you were previously kind of tiptoeing through in Breath of the Wild. It's a totally different experience. And yeah, I think I would tell you, Harry, to give it another shot, but I think your mind is made up.
Nah, don't.
Yeah.
Go play something else. You're fine.
It's the best Nintendo game of all time, according to a recent IGN Top 100 list.
It's real good. It's real good.
Okay, that is
the best game of all time, according to the Seth 100 list of all time. So,
yeah, it would be, according to me too. That's it for Zelda, though. We're moving on to Mario. Steven said, I think Odyssey is a good Mario, but the Galaxy games are the GOAT 3D Marios, hands down. The more open world collectathon formula of Odyssey doesn't work for me. I find many of the worlds, specifically the desert, quite boring. The open area platforming just isn't as challenging, and I end up just wandering aimlessly with the occasional, piece of candy to string me along. I think Mario's at its peak when it's a guided and challenging platform adventure. Galaxy does that so much better, on top of having one of the coolest mechanics using gravity to alter the perspective and navigate the obstacles.
Thanks for watching this clip from Nintendo Voice Chat. Be sure to catch the full episode over at youtube.com/IGN Games. New episodes of NVC drop every Friday on IGN Games, IGN.com, and your favorite podcast platforms. With the Nintendo Switch 2 finally here, there is so much to dive into. We appreciate you tuning in, and don't forget, NVC is the only place you can get the thing.